At AIA Australia, helping your clients in their time of need is our number one priority. In 2016, we paid over $1.15 billion in claims to both retail and group members. That's over $4.5 million every working day. To offer your clients cover you can trust, chat to your AIA CDM today.
All right, g'day. How's it going? What do you know? Strike a light. Simon O'Dell, what's going on, mate?
Not much, mate.
Pleasure to have you in.
Good to see you.
Yes. So to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, pretty cool GI, general insurance business actually. So first of all, he's got this cool thing, startup, been around for a couple of years though, InsurTech, which when you're in the startup world is all the cool names get thrown around. I'm fintech apparently, but insurance technology called Manor. And also a part of InsurTech Australia, right?
Yeah.
Yep, which is very cool. But you've had Eagle Insurance Brokers for a little while. How long now?
We've had that insurance broking business for almost 2 years.
Okay.
I was originally through a different licensee. I transferred across to Eagle.
Yeah.
I brought in an equity partner, so it's a really good mix.
Yep.
Got access, part of the Steadfast group.
Right.
Steadfast are a cluster that represents a lot of different broking firms.
So is that like a licensee?
Yeah, similar. Eagle are the licensee.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then Steadfast are like an association.
Ah.
And they get all their members and say, look how much volume we've got. Let's use economies of scale to
Right.
leverage, customer-centric features for the broking firm.
Yeah. So we were introduced a week ago or so.
Yep.
So through Adrian Paddy, XY Advisor, he's a man of many businesses. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And during his setting up of his latest expose, he came across you guys because he's looking to get into GI? Was that sort of how you guys were introduced?
Yeah. He put an ad out on Facebook or a post on Facebook asking his network if he knew of any gun brokers, as he put it.
Right.
And someone mentioned my name.
Rookie.
Yeah. So anyway, he got in touch with me. I didn't know what he wanted, but I said, yeah.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, probably a lot. Knowing Paddy.
Yeah.
Now that I've known him for a few weeks. So it turns out that he lives at the other end of Coogee in Sydney here, and I live at the other end.
Yeah.
So we caught up at the pavilion halfway, and he basically just said that he's getting a lot of feedback from fin planners and his network that they're looking to increase the scope of their offering to incorporate general insurance. It makes sense once you get a mature portfolio of business, whether you're an accountant or a law firm or a fin planner or an insurance broker, you generally look to new revenue streams, and I think that's what he was thinking, and that's the feedback he was getting. So he's reached out to me just to explore what that could look like.
Yeah. Yep.
And given, I guess, on paper, he's been able to see that I've started a couple of businesses recently and quite successfully. So he's probably recognised that, and he's wanting to see what we can collaborate on. Yeah,
cool. Because something that I've noticed about financial planning over the last couple of years is this amalgamation of professional services, and we were talking about that. And I guess that's sort of why you guys were talking in the first place, in that a lot of financial planners are doing mortgages now, and they're already doing insurance, right? So life insurance is the bread and butter, has been of the industry, the backbone really. It's where financial planning came out of. And so general insurance is not too big of a jump to what advisors are already doing, and is another potential income source or another lateral business opportunity that's available to financial planners. Now, we were having a chat, and you were saying life insurance is actually more difficult than general insurance.
Yeah, I find it more difficult. It could be because I'm on the GI, general insurance side of the fence, as opposed to life.
Yep.
I guess life insurance is subject to more regulation, and therefore there's more red tape in the process of from the first engagement with the customer through to binding a policy and getting the deal done, essentially.
Yep.
There's a lot of red tape with general insurance. If you said to me now, can I please have a professional indemnity insurance policy? I'd get out my laptop and we could buy and cover on policy.
Yeah.
And get it paid and done within 5 minutes.
No document?
You'd have to sign something. So there are still requirements.
Sure.
Yeah, you'd have to electronically complete a proposal form.
Yep.
Meeting your duty of disclosure to the insurer.
Okay.
There's nothing that can't be achieved in 5 minutes. There's no medicals and there's no all this other stuff.
Oh my God.
So I feel for a lot of people dealing in the life space.
Yeah.
But given the how quickly you can bind insurance policies, as long as you do it right, like you're providing the advice.
Yep.
It's a fairly accessible new revenue stream, I guess, to people who are already familiar with the insurance space in life insurance.
Yeah. What would you say is so let's say there's an advisor listening today. What would you say is the best way for them to get to learn more? Let's say before they even want to get started, what should be the very first thing that they do?
That's a very good question. So there's a couple of resources that we use as general insurance brokers. Everyone in the general insurance space is familiar with what we call the Yoda of general insurance, which is Alan Menning.
Alan Menning?
He's the guy who's been around for a long time. Everyone respects him a lot. He's the guru, in other words.
Okay.
So he's got an organisation, him and his son Steve and a few others run an organisation called LMI Group. LMI Group. So they're a technical resource. They provide insurance brokers with a lot of knowledge and help us to understand the general risk exposures associated with the different occupations.
Right.
So that helps us give advice.
Yep.
If we're unfamiliar with a particular risk or lacking experience in a certain area. In addition to that, you can peruse LMI Group's website. It's not hard to find via Google.
Does it stand for anything?
LMI, good question. I'm not sure. I don't know. ANZIF does. That's another acronym. ANZIF, Australian New Zealand Institute of Finance.
Okay, cool.
I hope I got that right. They're a really good organisation. They've kind of taken up the #1 spot as the educator for issuing certifications to insurance brokers and professionals. So there's a tier 2 compliance, which is your entry-level compliance that doesn't enable you to give advice, but that enables you to work in the space. You can complete that over a weekend.
Right. And what's considered advice?
So there's multiple different types of advice. It's not as with life insurance, you have to do statements of advice.
Yes.
And if we deal in that space, we have to do the same thing.
Yes.
With the advisors or with the clients in the general insurance space, we issue a general advice warning.
Okay.
Which is basically a document saying that that's for retail customers. We haven't really taken in your personal circumstances into consideration, blah, blah. But there's different levels of advice that we give, ranging from someone that comes, depends on the product that we recommend. So people that come into the space and they say, I just want a car insurance for my car, then we give them a certain amount of service. If someone comes along and says, I've got a manufacturing plant, I've got operations in Asia and South America and Australia, that's obviously a different kettle of fish.
Yes.
And we have to roll out a different service to those types of customers.
Okay, cool.
Which is much more advice oriented, get to know their risk very intimately and tailor the service.
Okay, that makes sense. And so do you have to produce a statement of advice, or is it just more oral and over email?
Yeah, it's when we issue invoices, the system that we use, which is actually eBix software, that's the name of the company.
Yep.
That provides us with an opportunity to insert general advice warnings or statements of advice into the transaction. But it doesn't affect the lead time. So basically, in terms of completing the sale. So basically, if you want to transact a business now, taking your personal circumstances into consideration, if we're talking about professional indemnity insurance and so on.
Yes.
And I need to provide you with the relevant documentation to support that. Through that transaction, but it's quite simple and automated.
Right. So out comes the invoice and the advice.
Supporting documentation. The advice is verbal, but we always like to back it up in writing.
Sure.
So usually, if I'm going to recommend a product to you, preferably, for the sake of being a diligent operator, I'd provide that to you in writing.
Yep.
And say, we've approached the market on your behalf.
Yes.
Based on the information that you've provided us and the feedback from the market or so on, we recommend placing cover with X insurer.
Yep.
Based on our evaluation of the market.
Yep.
For reasons X, Y, and Z. It might be more suitable for your solution, or it has to be more suitable for your situation.
Yep.
Then we take price into consideration as well as terms and the insurer's credit rating and so on.
Yep.
And then you're on your way.
Yeah, right. What's a really good revenue earner for a general insurance broker? I'd imagine it'd be large businesses or yeah.
So it's key for an insurance broking. It's a good question. It's key for an insurance broker to have different service agreements,
right,
or different tiers of servicing. So, for example, if a lot of the bread and butter clients that come through, you'll get a call from someone saying, I just spoke to Bob, he's a client of yours. Can you organise some liability insurance for me? Just something simple.
Sure.
You might end up punching out a premium of $700.
Yep.
And you'll get a bit of commission on the premium for that.
Yep.
You charge a fee on top, and you might bring in anywhere from 10 to 25% of the premium payable or the total payable will be your income.
Yep.
So you might get, I don't know, $100 or something for that.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of large, efficient, get it done, get it out the door. Make sure you're putting the right advice, obviously, in the right service.
Yep.
But just get it out the door so that you've still got that margin there.
Yes.
So with a fin planner that would be looking to get into the general insurance space, or for broking firms like mine that are quite small, I've got clients that pay premiums of a couple of $100,000 per year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, down to the more, it's the old 80-20 rule. 80% of my business would be worth, individual clients would be worth, I think the average is probably about $1,000 income to me to service them.
Per year?
Yeah, per year. Yeah.
Nice.
And then it goes up from there, but then that's obviously the average.
What's the ongoing requirements from you? Do you have to let me think about this. Do you have to do annual reviews, or do you have to do documentation, or how's it work?
Yep. So the policy period is 12 months.
Yep.
So during that 12 months, we have to manage claims, which is that's kind of when you could say that the insurance policy becomes tangible, when someone actually needs to claim and they get some value from it, in addition to just having a subjective protection.
Yep.
So that's, a lot of brokers get a bit of a kick out of that. Whilst it takes up time, it's good to get in there and see the policy wording work and make sure it works as per expectations.
Yep.
And years of managing claims makes us very conscious of the terms of insurance within policy wordings and making sure we're recommending the right products.
Do you get paid to manage a claim?
Most businesses don't have an additional fee. They have a model where they don't have an additional fee for managing claims.
Right.
It's just part of the fee that you charge attached to the premium that they pay at the start of the year.
Yep.
Then at the end of the year, you go through a similar process again. So It's about understanding at the start of the policy period very clearly what the client's operations are, what their risk exposures are, very holistically.
Yep.
And making sure the client knows to keep you up to date. So there's certain things that happen throughout the year that they don't need to inform you about per the duty of disclosure, like just fluctuations in revenue, that whatever within 30% or whatever.
Yep.
But if things happen, like all of a sudden they start exporting overseas their products or their activities change, then they should disclose that to you. So it's important that that dialogue is open and they know that that should be open.
Right. Okay. So there wouldn't be much revenue, or there wouldn't be a lot of need from, say, individual employees, would there?
In terms of insurance coming through?
Yeah.
Good question. So with some businesses, yes.
Okay.
Medical specialists.
Right.
Are big on that. So once the medical specialists, for whatever reason, they develop trust, or not for whatever reason they develop trust.
Once they've been suckered in.
Yeah, exactly. Medical specialists, for whatever reason, that profession in particular, when they develop trust in you for legitimate reasons.
Yes.
I don't know, they understand that good service providers,
Yep.
few and far between, and then all of a sudden the brother will be giving you a call.
Yep.
They're this and they're that. So they're a really good referral source. So
Right.
whether it's their staff or people within their network, generally some occupations do lend to being a good referral base, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. And is it so? An average GP needs their own indemnity insurance or something? Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So medical specialists, they'll either go direct or via a broker.
Yeah.
For their medical malpractice insurance. So if plastic surgeon's in there and he makes a mistake or whatever, and something happens, he needs insurance for that. So there's bespoke insurers for that type of risk.
Right. And obviously, as a financial advisor, if you're getting referrals into the medical field, that's a great
good
source of further value that you can add to their life.
Yeah, good call, definitely. And picking up on a point you said earlier about fin planners and anyone in the financial space trying to create a full suite, one-stop shop solution where they might want to bolt on accounting, financial planning, and everything else. I guess that is, in part, I think, being driven by the evolving characteristics of the consumer. They just want a one-stop shop. They develop a trusted relationship. They want to be able to enter into a partnership with someone that they trust and have transparency in the service and the fee structure. And just kind of not set it and forget, but just have it with someone that they trust and know that they'll get to them whenever they need to, and so forth, and have annual reviews and such things.
Yes.
So I think that, in part that's been driven by the consumer.
This manner, this insurtech, is that something advisors can use, or is that specifically for GI brokers?
That's specifically for GI brokers.
Yep.
So fin planners get in the GI broking space.
Right.
Or other GI brokers.
Yep.
It's very handy for new entrants into the broking market, because what it does is you enter information and it will tell you the most suitable underwriters in the market to go and approach.
Right.
So currently, insurance brokers spend, we quantified $56 million per year day to day in resources, just finding which underwriters are the most suitable. And they do that by canvassing different websites. I'll go to QBE's website and see.
Oh, man.
It's ridiculous. So Manor is a search engine and it instantly tells you, based on the information you type in, which underwriters to approach. So company into that space that doesn't have experience.
Yes.
You got a client on the phone saying, I need professional indemnity insurance, you can instantly connect with the right underwriters, send through the quote, and get the job done. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So in the financial planning business, that sort of stuff's been around for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So you would say, I want X, Y, Z type of cover, and then there's programs out there that actually cut out pieces from the product disclosure statement and give you the rulings, and it's weird actually that it's taken so long for someone to come along and provide something like this.
I agree.
Yeah, geez. And is that why you built it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The general insurance industry, particularly the intermediated component of it, so not the direct channel from the insurer to the consumer, the part where brokers are involved.
Yep.
That's for whatever reason, and I won't start listing the reasons why. I think it just hasn't innovated. It's been very poor in that regard.
Right.
Generally speaking.
Right.
And that's one evidence of that.
Right.
Two other, and the US is similar actually. The US are a bit ahead of us in terms of technology. And applied systems.
Yep.
Similar to ours in the last 18 months, 2 years to 18 months, and they've been bought out by the big players over there.
Whoa.
And bolted it onto their services. So
is that what you're looking to do?
The next within 5 years would be good.
Mate, the startup world is actually the next XY event that's coming up on the 23rd of November is going to be held here at Stone and Chalk. It's going to be called, it's like Silicon Valley on Bridge Street.
Okay.
Oh, mate, great names, right?
Nice. Yeah.
So just quickly we'll duck into that. How have you found the whole startup world?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think people romanticize it a lot.
Yes.
I'm a little bit more old school in the way that if I want to take something to market, I'll go to the shed, build a prototype, take it to market.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people probably spend too long in the startup ecosystem.
Yes.
Just because it's an institution, it's a community, and it's something in and of itself that
Yeah.
has just created this culture, and it's addictive. I mean,
it's weird though, isn't it?
very weird.
It's weird. People are definitely attracted to the I want to wear sneakers
Exactly.
and like strive to get somewhere
Yes,
rather than just get like get through the startup phase really quick because you're not earning any, well, if any, income at that point. So move past that. The startup phase isn't. Yeah, it's become a subculture, isn't it?
Big time. I agree. 100%.
Yeah, I was actually really worried about coming into Stone and Chalk that I would get sucked into it.
Yeah.
But
I was sucked in for a while.
I as yet haven't started just relaxing in the pods drinking kombucha.
Yeah.
It hasn't gotten to that point yet, thank God.
Yes.
Yes.
But no, it's an interesting ecosystem, and if you look at Sydney, if you travel around a bit and see those ecosystems in the US, which are very much more mature, the one in Singapore and Tel Aviv started at probably 20 years ago, where the government pumped a lot of money into providing these incentives for the startup community and startup grants and things. And then, it's been around for about 20 years, but it's only really taken off in recent years in, say, New York and Silicon Valley's been around for a while as well.
Yes.
But Sydney and London and so on. But the different ecosystems have different characteristics. So if you want, and it's interesting to note that. And if you think about setting up an optimal business, you'd probably have your dev team in Tel Aviv / Silicon Valley. You'd have, I don't know, Australia have got their own characteristics as well.
Yep.
Apparently, players in Tel Aviv, go back to Israel again, really look to Australians as a strength for taking products to market. So so people in Tel Aviv, they're really good technically, and they're really good at creating products and dev and things like that, AI. But Australians are known as being really good wheelers and dealers and battlers and getting there.
Well, it's interesting because I know Australia has two strange statistics. We have a very low dollar per head VC investment. So we have very small, I think only a handful of percent compared to the US. So there's a lot less money getting invested here. But we have a over average entrepreneurial from a service base. So there's a lot of small business owners in the service space. So we're quite entrepreneurial. But in Australia, it's service or nothing. So to hang your shingle and say, I do this for my time in my field of expertise, but there's not a lot of products being built. So it's kind of interesting to hear that we can get the shit done and we can go to market. But it's unfortunate, but I can kind of see that it is growing. It is slowly growing. So for example, and we don't need to go into it too much, but you already had some early success with funding. And so it's not impossible.
No, it's not.
It's not impossible to achieve.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. And I think one thing that I've learned, it's good to go incrementally with funding. So you do your FFF round, your friends, families and fools, and then you go through to the next stage and you do a seed. We're doing the seed at the moment. So we're self-funded, then we did FFF and we're doing seed. and $1,000 in the US is like $10 here. It's like it's hard. It's a lot harder to get money over here. There's a lot of capital over there. So it's an interesting scene. I was going to say something about the entrepreneurs. That's right. Australia, to your point, Australian startups, there's actually rating tables that you can jump online and see. CV Insights, and there's another Genome, I think it is. Publish reports and they rate this ecosystems. Australia always rates very highly for talent, as you say. Very high for talent. And we're number one unofficially for government support now.
Oh, really?
The government, they're killing it. They're through their landing pad programs, both through the the Department of Industry at the state level,
Yeah.
just across here at Macquarie Street.
Yeah, right.
And also federally.
Yeah, because did you get a $25,000?
Yeah.
You got that?
Yeah.
Because I sent an email and then they wrote back to me after a week and they said, "Oh, we'll come back to you in about a month."
Oh, really?
So I'm like,
Yeah.
give me my 25K, baby.
Yeah. Just dealing with government, bit of bureaucracy there. But,
yeah.
it takes a little bit of time, but they've been really good in terms of backing it up.
Because there's 25 and then there's another one,
For
right?
250, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which is huge.
Have you applied for that one?
Not yet, no,
Okay.
but it's on the agenda.
Yeah, and then there's a third one which is like up to $1 million, right?
Really? Wow. That's huge.
But you have to be doing something really unique. Normally,
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals are getting that kind of thing. They'll
Yeah.
basically match any funding you get. So if
Okay.
you raise $1 million, they'll up to match $1 million,
Wow.
which is massive, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
I know there's one where they'll match dollar for dollar. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, I think that's probably that one.
The quarter of a K, quarter
okay.
of a mil, 250 grand if you partner with an Israeli firm.
What?
Yeah. So you're talking about us, the Australians, being good with the commercialization, going to market, service,
Yeah.
and not so much on the dev. So you can offshore the dev to Tel Aviv,
Yeah, right.
and they'll throw in 250K. I'm pretty sure it's a dollar for dollar scenario.
My God.
Yeah. So we went to Matteo, one of our co-founders, and I went to Tel Aviv on the
Is his name Matteo?
Matteo. Yeah.
I love that name.
That's a good name.
It's like Italian Matthew, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best.
But the Italians are too good for Matthew. It's Matteo. And he's a very stylish guy.
Of course he is.
Yeah, he sets the standard. They flew us over to Tel Aviv for the landing pad program, which is really good. And it was interesting.
Right.
It's like we went to the ex-president's place for a party on the beach, and there's like James Packer, and
What?
it's amazing how much Australia is integrated with Israel in terms of business and
Wow.
and investment.
I didn't realise.
Yeah, big time.
I don't hang out in Double Bay enough.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
Yeah. So maybe I should go there as well.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so basically because when I heard about your product, you've made it for years, but with a week or two, especially with a background in financial planning, what's the name of the qualification that and I think you touched on it before, but what is the actual name of the qualification that an advisor can do to become
Qualification,
right?
and effectively it is a diploma or a portion of a diploma in financial services.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
So that's
Kaplan, is it?
Sorry.
Where do you do it?
ANZIF for the
ANZIF. Okay.
ANZIF for the registered training organisation who issue those certificates.
Yep.
They've raised the bar in terms of increasing the standard and how difficult it is to get that qualification.
Yep.
There is a school of thought that bar needs to continue to rise.
There is a school of thought. Now, no longer do you just fill out your name.
Yeah, exactly. And learn how to dust the keyboard.
Yeah.
ANZIF are really good. They're raising the bar.
Good.
And combined with LMI, who are the technical knowledge, collectively between those two organisations, they're definitely raising the bar.
So an advisor could go on to ANZIF.
Yep, ANZIF website, Google ANZIF.
And then do a tier 1 qualification.
Yep.
And that gives them the ability to write general insurance products.
Yeah. So
fantastic.
So I don't think it's solely that you'd have to organise with licensing to make sure that you have the right licensing.
Okay, so who do you get licensing through?
You would approach one of the what do I say here? I'm trying to be politically correct. You approach one of the there's different cluster groups,
right?
And there's different licensees, so you can go to like a insurance advisor net,
okay,
or an advisor group.
Advisor group.
That's what
very,
I'm part of.
Very Aussie.
Yeah, it is.
Advisors.
Yeah. I think they're actually from South Africa originally.
Okay.
Enough. But there's a few different ones out there, and what you can do is, I'm not sure if you'd be able to extend the existing life insurance, or you'd apply for a new authorised representative arrangement.
Right.
through an existing license holder or licensee, the ones I've just rattled off, or,
Yep.
or any others. And then you're allowed to go out and do business. I'm not sure if you have to get with the tier one X amount of experience under your belt.
Oh, okay. Is there a way to get around that? Do you just do a tier 2 and you don't have to get experience?
Tier one, it goes tier 2, then tier 1, and then diploma.
Oh, okay. It starts at tier 2,
Yeah.
then goes to tier 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then
It might be counterintuitive, but that's the way it works.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all on the ANZIP website. So I
Okay.
definitely encourage anyone wanting to suss it out is to jump on the ANZIP website. There's an organisation also called the National Insurance Brokers Association,
Right.
NIBA, and they provide a lot of information on their website too.
Okay, cool. And so do a qualification, maybe they need some experience. That might trip some people up if they need some experience.
Yeah,
So,
it'd be good to determine whether that's required or not. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd like to think it is in terms of being able to just go out there and provide advice in the general GI space, but
yes.
you would think that potentially if they had experience in the life space, then that would count as
Yeah.
credits and they can hit the ground running. And
But they could probably call NIBA regardless, right, and find out?
yes,
Probably something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then get licensed through Adviso.
Yep, advisors.
Yeah, the SAFA Aussies.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after they've done all that, then they basically download Manner, MANNER,
Yep.
right?
Yep,
And-
.io.
.io. And that is the tech platform that makes the new job easy, right?
Very much.
Okay, cool. Mate, cheers.
No
Thanks for
worries.
coming on. Like, general insurance is not something that advisors, in my experience, talk about at all.
Yeah, sure.
But we do know it's A, profitable, and
Yeah.
B, by the sounds of it, potentially even easier than what advisors are already doing in the life insurance space.
Yeah.
So, basically the message is if you're looking to extend your reach as per what you can provide for your clients, lateral business opportunities, and increase your revenue, you can go through what we've talked about here with Simon today. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. No worries at all.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, buddy.